This is Kitzur Yomi as we continue learning the halachas of the additions to Shemon Esrei, etc. We're in the middle of Siman Chaf, and we pick it up from Sif Ches. Says the Kitzur, B'tayin Sibur v'Yishvi Sekenetzah Sarshem Misanim Ashlimim. There are 10 people that are fasting and completing the fast. Then we have an addition to Shemon Esrei, Omer Ashliach Sibur B'Shachar Sheb'Mincha Aneinu. When Kaidem Rifa'inu, and we already mentioned, as note 21 again points out, that in such a scenario, it is different than the Aneinu said by a singular person. The Aneinu said by each and every individual is in Shema Koleinu and ends with Shema Koleinu, the regular Shemea Tefillah. But the Aneinu in Chazaras HaShatz is after Re'eh, before Rifa'inu, and ends Ha'ineh Be'is Sarah, it is its own bracha. V'intav alei amara, if the Chazan forgot in this Kadosh Shem, if he remember before he says the Shem, Mina bracha chali Yisrael, of the bracha of Rafei, Cholam Yisrael, Chayz Vaymer Aneinu, then he says again Aneinu and Rafeinu. Avlam lo nizkar lachar Chazaras HaShatz, if he only remembered after he said the Shem Hashem in Rafeinu, Goimer habracha Rafei Chol Amo Yisrael. He has to finish the bracha of Rafei Chol Amo Yisrael, and then Vaymer Aneinu b'soich Pirchas Shemei Tefillah. He says it made in the middle of the bracha of Shemei Tefillah, in the same place that a singular person would say it. V'chayzim Shemei Tefillah kimay yach v'imshachachai gam sham. If you forgot it there as well, Omer lachar siyam Tefillah b'loy chasima. You should say it at the end of his Shemay Esrei. After the bracha on the bottom of note 31, they point out for the Mishnah Brura, Hamavarech Hasam Yisrael Bashalom. He says Aneinu b'loy chasima. He ends the just b'chol eis tzara v'tzuka, and of course, this it requires someone to be listening when the chazan is saying Chazaras HaShatz, and if it is forgotten, to know this halach. And we continue with Sif Tes. Ein oimrim tefillah Shemon Esrei b'kol. The chazan should not say tefillah Shemon Esrei aloud. Elim kein yishchol ha'pachais, unless there is at least shisha Anashim, 6 people, Shem Roiv Minyan, Shel Ispalu Ata, who are davening now with the minyan. Avlam Ein Shisha Anashim Ispalu Ata. If there's not 6 people davening right now, then Ein Arim Kol Shemon Esrei, because there's no Chazaras HaShatz. Chazaras HaShatz is only with a minyan, and now the Kitzur is defining that minyan, of course, is 10, but it means 6 that are davening right now. Ella Echad Omer Ad Akel HaKadosh V'Kol. Rather, what should you do? Again, this is a scenario that you don't have 6 people davening, but you have a minyan. So what do? One person says Shemon Esrei until the bracha of Hakel HaKadosh, which in note 33 they point out the end of the third bracha in Shemon Esrei. And he also quotes Mishnah Berurah, the Magen Avram, who says that when one does this, he does not first say the silent Shemon Esrei. Rather, so we would call Heicha Kedusha. Rather, he begins and he says these 3 brachos and Kedusha, and then he just finishes Shemon Esrei quietly. Va'imrim Kedusha. Then he says Kedusha, v'gomer Tefillah belachash, and he finishes his Tefillah quietly. Now, this Sif test, whether this should be done on a regular basis or not, is a point of contention. The Paiskim, this is where it would come from. If you don't have a full minyan, you have 2 or 3 people that they missed the minyan, they want to daven. So one of them could say Chazaras HaShatz, the first 3 brachas, including Kedusha. Everyone will answer because you don't have 6 people davening right now. Continuing with Sif Yod, Kol Makayim, Shayachid Imtach Chayzer Mispal. Anytime if a Yachid has to go back and daven again. At the bottom over here, note 36, it says, for example, Mashav Ruach. The same halacha is if the Sheikh Zibra messed up, he has to go back and Chazaras HaShatz. If he messed up, he davens again. Chotz mishachar shel Rosh Chodesh v'chol hamayis shachar and Rosh Chodesh she'im shachach v'loy amar yal v'yavoy. If you forgot yal v'yavoy in Chazaras HaShatz, v'lo nizkar ad sheshlam tvi lasai ein machzir naisai. Why? Ki mishum tereach hatzibur. Therefore, Samchina Mashezker B'Tfilas Musaf will rely that Lamaisa you're going to be saying Al V'Yavayim Musaf Avlisker Koidim Sheishlim Tvilasli. However, if he realized before he finishes his Shmona Esrei, Chayzil Ritzei, go back to Ritzei like any singular person would do when he remembers. Ve'in Pazat Teirach B'Tzibur, there's not such Teirach at the Tzibura. Why? Because you're only going back till Ritzei. And finally, we conclude the Siman with Sif Yod Aleph. Everyone is required to say Kedusha with the Tzibur V'gam Amein Shalach Rakel HaKadosh. After say the Amein after Kol HaKadosh and Shalach HaShamei Tefilo Gamkin Chiyav Kimai Kedusha, those two Ameins. V'chein similarly HaKadish Shemer Shechsibur the Kaddish Chiyav Ulanois Aleim, you have to answer Amein. Note 38 says, of course, Amein and Yehish Rab V'chein B'Moidim Hu Chiyav L'Shliach L'Schois Imatzibur. One has to bow. This is really the very basic minimum is Kedusha, Amein Tekel HaKadosh, Amein Teshemei Tefillah, and bowing with the Tzibur L'chein. And therefore, in this Achar Lav, the basic Knesset, someone comes late, but he has to daven by himself without the minion. Amein Hashai Veres. If it will not pass, meaning the Zmanei Tefillah will not pass, what should he do? Now, this is very important. You come late, you have to daven by yourself, but then what ends up happening is you're davening during Chazaras HaShatz, you miss Kedusha, you miss the Amein Tekel HaKadosh, you miss the Amein Teshemei Tefillah, you miss the bowing, that's a problem. So says the Kitzur, if you're able to, meaning let's say it's not Zman Tefillah yet, first say the Ameins and bow, and then afterwards, Ela Yamtin, you should wait until you can answer Amein with the Tzibur. Then you should daven the Shmona Esrei yourself. And again, note 41, Mishmur points out, if you cannot, you shouldn't be davening inside the shul, because when you're in the shul, you're part of the minyan. You should go and daven in a different room. However, Al Yamtim in Goy Yisrael to the Shmona Esrei, don't wait between Goy Yisrael and the Shmona Esrei. That's our last Kula Tefillah. Because of course you want to be semech Kula Tefillah of also Lafzik B'neiam. Al Yamtim Koidim Shir Chadash. So again, if you're a person davening by yourself because you came late, before Shir Chadasha, pause. Answer Kedusha, Amein Tekel HaKadosh, Amein Teshemei Tefillah, bow with the Tzibur by Moedim, and then you should say your Shemona Esrei. And we continue with Sif Yud Beis, which has a little bit of Akdama over here, telling us that the basics of Kedusha is Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. Baruch Kevoid. We say this 3 times during davening, one by Berachas Kriya Shema, one in Chazaras HaShatz, and one in Huvalet Siyoid. What is the difference between these 3? That by Chazaras HaShatz, we're reciting the Kedusha to Hashem, whereas in the other Kedushas, we're only recounting how the angels, the Malachim, say Kedusha. That's what we're doing by Berachas Kriya Shema and by Uvalet Siyoin. What is the difference between the way that we are saying Kedusha? Says the Kitzur Sif Yud Beis, Yachad HaOymi, B'Tfilah Shmona Esrei, Kshehu Mesayim Achayim Eisim. You're davening yourself. But when you reach the end of Achayim Eisim, Omer Atzibur Kedusha Zuvalet Siyoin, Oy Kedusha Ziyotzer. Either you're late or you're early, and the Tzibur is saying Kedusha either of Berachas Kriya Shema or of Uvalet Siyoin, and you're in the middle of your Shemona Esrei, but you're at the point of Kedusha. Einoi Omer Imahem Kadosh. Why? Says the Kitzur, don't think, oh, I'm up to Kedusha. No. Kedusha is not all Kedushas are created equally, as we just explained, because the Kedusha middle Shmona Esrei, that is saying straight to Hashem, but the other Kedushas, which the Tzibur now is up to, is the Malachim saying it. Then even if you're Malshachris, if you have to Mosaf the Damni Shachris, the Kedusha Shachris, the Kedusha's Mosaf Shavisim, as they're both full-fledged Kedushas. We continue with Siman Chaf Aleph, very important. What happens when you miss a Tefillah? There's something called Tashlumin. Can make up for that Tefillah. Says the Kitzur Sivalik Fanis Siman Yud Ches. Shema Var Zman Tefillah B'Mezid. If you purposely miss the Zman Tefillah, Ein Loi Tashlumin. Now, note number 3 points out this thing called a Tefillas Nadava, a voluntary Tefillah, a gift to Hashem, donating a Tefillah. Then potentially you would be able to do that. However, the Kitzur Paskins, we don't do that nowadays because we don't have Kavanah. But right now we're discussing what is Tashlumim. So if you purposely miss a Tefillah, there's nothing to do. If it was an error, It was an involuntary situation. Note 4 points out, if you forgot or thought you already davened and you didn't, or if someone was sick, or if someone was intoxicated, you made a mistake with so you have to daven again. You have to daven again. You don't. Let's say in the case of Rosh Chodesh, you forgot Yalviyava and only remembered after the Siman passed by, so you can't say Shemon Esrei right now. So what do? What you do is you say another mincha with the next tefillah. However, we first very important halacha. People mess this one up all the time. You first daven the tefillah, which is now, and then achar kach you daven the tashlumin. What does that mean? And if you messed it up, then you're gonna have to do it again. Aneinu. You miss shachris. Like she is man tefillas mincha. When it comes to mincha, what do? First, yispalo metchilat tefillah l'sheim mincha. First, you have to daven mincha. Vaymer tachanon, and then v'acham yadomer ashrei. Say ashrei in spalo shvones v'shel shachris. Then you daven shvones again for shachris. V'im leisbal mincha v'daven mincha. Azay yisval tchilat arvis. First comes a meir. V'yisharak kedei l'char ma'amis. Wait a few moments, and then v'einu aymer ashrei el miyad yisval shvones v'shvel mincha. V'im lo yisbal arvis, azay lachar tefillah shachris after daven shachris yomer tachlan v'ashrei v'yisbal al tefillah shvones l'shem arvis daven shvones again as marv v'achiyom alav netzech v'lotzim also lechal at sheyisbal al tefillah zu shehu l'shem arvis. So first comes the tefillah for now, and then comes the Tashlumin, and we continue with Sif Beis, and we conclude for today. If you didn't daven when you had time, and you thought you had enough time, you thought there's still time for Shachris, but there wasn't. And then when you finish, you missed this man. You have a business deal and you're going to lose a lot of money. You missed this man. You weren't allowed to do that. You were not allowed to miss this man because of a monetary loss, but you did. This is called an Aneinu. And the note 12, the point of the Mishnah Berurah, the reason is you didn't purposely miss the tefillah, and therefore you're allowed to have Tashlumin. Even though you should not have drank. These are all examples of times that we'll have a Tashlumin. We'll pick it up from here. B'siyata Dishmaya.